everybody. Welcome to Real Talk Fins Talk on the bandwagon. Joining us tonight is, of course, my guest host, Rob Mosley, a.k.a. Dolphins Thirsty. And right there on the bottom, we got none other than the one and only Evan Posner.
What's up?
All right, guys. How you doing?
I'm great. Happy to be with you guys tonight. I thought it'd be a lot of fun to do it together tonight, so I'm happy you guys invited us.
Good,
Yep,
good.
same here, Steve. Same here. Thank you.
Absolutely. Good. I'm glad.
Well, I'm always here, but
yeah.
thank you for having me again.
Absolutely, absolutely. And everybody that's in the chat there, please like, subscribe, share with your friends, your families, your neighbors. Thank you for joining us tonight. We got a great show tonight. Like I said, we got the Fins bandwagon and we got Real Talk. We got some good stuff to talk about tonight. I know Michael Vogel will be joining you sometime tonight. Is that correct, Evan?
Yes, he'll be joining us as soon as he's done football practice.
All right. Sounds great. Sounds great. Sounds great. And everybody, remember, we may not always agree everything Dolphins, but there's one thing we can agree on is we are all Dolphins. All right, all right. So let's get this show on the road, man. I'm real excited, Evan. I'm always happy to have you along on the show. You know, I always tell folks when I'm on Real Talk Fins Talk that after this show, I normally switch on to your show, Fins Bandwagon, which is normally following our show, and I get that warm and fuzzy. So
last week, did you get the warm and fuzzy with Brett? Brett was kind of warm and fuzzy last week.
Yeah, he was.
He kept going a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. So, look, I want to talk a little bit tonight about, of course, I'm sure everyone has seen the topic we're mainly going to be talking about tonight, and that's why aren't the Dolphins getting any respect? But what I'd like to do is we'll start off talking a little bit about, number one, the news. In the news, we got a tight end, another tight end, a veteran tight end, not Tyler Kroft, but Tyler Kroft. So I don't know much about him. Rob, Evan, I'll start with you. Rob, you know much about him?
Well, he's played in the NFL 8 years. His best year was back in 2017 when he had like 7 touchdowns, and that came with the Cincinnati Bengals. Mm-hmm. So, but he's known to be a solid blocker overall. But that was his best receiving. That's the only year that he started every game and played in every game.
Okay.
And it was a solid year. So, we'll see. It's going to be a tough competition in the tight end room. We'll see moving forward. He played last year, his one and only season with the 49ers. This will be his third team in the AFC East he's touched with. He's played with the Bills and the Jets. So I guess after us, he only has the Patriots left to go to. So, he's making his rounds, so hopefully we'll see. Like I say, we got a pretty good room right now. And I know we don't have that one big name that everyone wants. That's like, oh my God, that's the tight end we've been waiting for. But I think we got a solid group, and it's going to be a competitive camp to see who fits in there. And, let's go Fins. Let's see how it rolls out.
No, I agree. We got a lot in the tight end room right now. I know we just drafted, Elijah Higgins, and man, I don't know where him and Tanner Connor are going to fit in this lineup. I know Tanner Connor is more of a receiving tight end, kind of more like the guy that we just let go, Jaceki. So I don't know, but it's definitely going to be competition. Evan, what's your perspective on that?
I think it reaffirmed what we learned over the last couple of weeks, that they're not looking to invest in the tight end room for receptions. They're looking to more solidify them as blockers, because last year's experiment with Gesicki did not work.
Right.
So overall, I think that's not a bad thing, because we have so many wide receivers that are capable of doing stuff between Berrios and Anderson, obviously Hill and Waddle and Wilson, and they want to find more room for him if they can't work out in Craycraft. I don't mind that they're focusing on that, because when you need those extra yards, that extra push, when you need to get an extra yard, remember that scheme they were using Durham Smythe to do it, but maybe Higgins can do it, maybe Tyler Kroft can do it when they step right behind the center behind Connor Williams to get an extra yard and do that weird motion with the sneak. Like they think they did that 3 or 4 times last year.
Yeah.
In key moments. So and they usually get the first down. So for me, I have no issues with that. If they're going to spend their money, that's the one room I don't mind them spending going to cheap on, as long as these guys have experience blocking, because I rather them focus on either adding another lineman post June 1st, which I'm sure we're going to talk about, and then or making a little more cap room to get another stout running back. So for me overall, I don't mind that because I think that's where last year we tried to force it and it didn't work. Because if you remember in key games, guys, when they tried to force it to Gesicki, the ball went the other way every single time. Do you not remember Bridgewater when he came in against Cincinnati, when he actually made a decent comeback and threw 198 yards and got it to Tyreek Hill? We had a chance. We were down the field, had a chance to win. And what did he do? Because they were focusing so much on Gesicki, they got to get him the ball. Now McDaniel doesn't have to worry about the tight ends getting them the ball. Only probably in the red zone in key moments, just focus on the wide receivers and the running game. So I'm good with it.
Yeah, I agree. And in Miami, the Miami Dolphins last year, they only used a 2 tight end set, like maybe 5% of the time, if that.
Very rarely.
Yeah, very rarely at all. I think, like you said, maybe 5 or 6 plays that I can remember that they use 2 tight ends. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. And you brought up the running backs. One of you two brought up the running backs. But, yeah. Was it you, Evan?
It was me. I just brought it up. Recency bias. Recency bias.
Okay, there you go. But I'd like to talk a little bit about, since you brought it up, we'll talk about the running backs, and then I'd like to talk a little bit about the offensive line as well. But the running backs, you mentioned about maybe saving some money or cap for running back. We've got Mostert, we've got Wilson, we've got Gaskins, we've got Ahmed, and we got A-Chain. And based on the information, or based on the talk that Mostert made, he had a talk at one of the meetings or something he was on. I don't think they're going to be looking for another running back. I think Cook is no longer in their view as far as getting a running back. I think they're happy with who they have back there. Just by what he was talking about, if you listen carefully, he said, we have good chemistry. McDaniels likes the chemistry we have in the backfield. And he was going to lead the way in helping out with A-Chain as far as, developing him as a running back. I mean, he was all smiles. And he even said, hey, McDaniels, we're going to shock the world. How they're going to do that, I have no clue. But what he meant by that, but I don't see them moving forward and getting Delvin Cook. I just don't see it. I think they're happy with the running back room. And guess what? I think the running back room that we have is pretty good as long as McDaniels utilizes them. And I think he will this year. I think he made the apology to Mostert and his running backs that he was sorry that he didn't run the ball more. So I expect to see them running the ball more this year, and also more passes out of the backfield. How do you guys see that, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, that's quite possible, but this is the NFL. If they got a better person to come in to do the job, chemistry sometimes they may move aside. But like I say, I don't know. And for strictly by a contract standpoint, how Cook's contract stands this minute, yes, they're not going to sign him to that amount of money. But if the Minnesota Vikings after June 1st decides to cut him loose and he's willing to come to Miami for less money, then he's going to go to other teams, which I don't probably think is likely because he's a young guy that still can get his bag of money, carry that bag of money instead of carry the football. So I really think that, he probably would say no to that. But if he really wants to be turned home, he's a South Florida kid and he's willing to give us a little less of a hit, then yes, I think it still could be on the table because McDaniel speaking. I know, like you said, what you heard Moser, but McDaniel, when asked about if everything's off the table, he basically, long-winded, we know McDaniel speak, but basically saying no, that everything still is on the table and that, they will always look to make the football team better. But do I think it's a priority for them right now? No. But do I think if a bargain comes up after June 1st, and Dalvin Cook becomes available without having to give up compensation in that big contract for next year, then, they may open that door again.
Okay, good points there, Rob. Evan, how do you see it? What's your perspective?
Before I do it, I just want to make a point to Daniel because he made this point about Rodgers.
Right.
Just go watch NFL Live every single day, at least once or twice a week. Twice so far this week in the last 3 episodes. They're talking Miami. They're talking about Vic Fangio. They're talking about Mike McDaniel. They're talking about Tua. As long as Tua is the Miami Dolphins quarterback, at least once a week, NFL Live is going to dedicate 10 minutes to his offseason program. And then John is right about going after Swift. They did talk about how he was potentially going after Swift. And also Flash Buzz, who we like to refer as Barry Jackson, he talked about the fact that until things are settled in Minnesota, Miami's still in play. For me, as you know, Mr. Positive bandwagon, I was harder than anybody on this network on McDaniel. And McDaniel with A-Chain was jumping up and down like a giddy little child. He likes flash, he likes speed, he likes star power. That's why he gives the ball to Waddle. That's why he gives the ball to Tyreek Hill, and that's why he gives the ball. He's going to be giving the ball to A-Chain. But if he has the opportunity to get a Dalvin Cook, I think Gaskin is there just to create the competition in the room. But like Bobby has said on many shows, if you cut Jeff Wilson after June 1st, it'll cost you only $785,000 on the cap because he's only making 2.2. That's the cut. If Dalvin Cook is available, I would go get him because I'm convinced Mike McDaniel needs that player to be there to force him to use it. I think he's stubborn in the sense that if he doesn't have that star player there, he's going to go get him. So you may think he has blinders on, but to him, he thinks Tua is a star. That's why he keeps on believing in Tua. If he gets convinced,
No, he's not a star. He's a gold mine.
He's a gold mine, even better. So my point is to McDaniel, you sort of like basically from what we learned from a rookie head coach last year and his stubbornness to not get out of his own way, if you tell him that there's a superstar back there who wants the rock, he's going to give it. And the one thing I don't trust about the fact is that Mostert, of all people, is the most injury prone of the 4 running backs that are in that room.
True.
I don't trust Mostert to last the season the same way most of you don't expect Tua to last the whole season. So for me, I would go get another running back because Cook doesn't have a history of injuries. And also, just to let you know, to clarify, if they do trade for Cook, he has to restructure his contract either way involving in a trade. So even if we have to give up a 5th-round pick, we're going to be able to restructure his contract. His contract doesn't stay as is if he gets traded.
Mm-hmm.
So,
okay, good point. I mean, yeah, it's possible they get Dalvin Cook. I don't think they will. But if they do, I wouldn't get mad about it because I do like Dalvin Cook or Derrick Henry, either or. And you made a good point.
Eckler's still out there.
Yeah, and you made a good point. Maybe, just maybe, McDaniel will open his eyes, and if they did get a Dalvin Cook or someone of that nature, then maybe he will be forced to use the running back more, whether it be passing or running. So. But we shall see. We shall see. You all made some great points, and
it's all speculation. Chris Greer's not calling me. I'm off his quick call list. So he's not calling me.
No, but I do believe that Chris Greer. I do believe the Miami Dolphins. They're not. The one thing I won't accuse Chris Greer of being, he might be a little obtuse in terms of what he thinks is best because he's stubborn because he doesn't want to give up on developing certain players. But he's not dumb. And the one thing we can't criticize him for is he is not afraid to make a splash. Because in the last 2 years, he has led the NFL with the biggest splash of trade before anybody else. So post June 1st, when that $13.5 million comes up, most of that's not going to the free agent. And by signing Christian Wilkins, he's actually going to gain cap space. So that $13.5 million can even grow more than that. So he'll have the room to go get the running back and re-sign Wilkins and get an offensive lineman. So I'm not that worried in that sense. But I think the month of June is going to be an enjoyable time to be a Miami Dolphins fan again.
Well, I hope so. And speaking of Miami Dolphins, if you guys can visit DolphinsThirsty.com, I would love a visit there. We're working on it. And right after this show, I'm about to post a little quick video and blog about the Dolphins signing today and about their strength of schedule that people are yapping about on social media, which we can touch here a little bit too. And then also that, Barry Jackson did mention that they had other offensive linemen that they did not announce. The Dolphins don't have to announce some of the offensive linemen by league rule. They had to announce the Fleming visit because of how the free agency rules are set up. So that one they had to announce. So they are working on that goal. So that's it. I had to get my Dolphins Thirsty plug in there real quick.
No. And for our new subscribers or new folks that are on the channel, Rob, tell everybody what you kind of briefly did an overview, but what is actually DolphinThirsty.com? What is that?
This is a website, all things fans. If you have a thirst for Miami Dolphins, Dolphin Thirsty will quench it. Of course, this is a little bit of slow time. I'm a one-man machine sometimes, but Bobby of this network here, Bobby Finstock, he has put a couple blogs to help me out. So it's really cool. We're growing slowly, baby steps, but it's fun. If you guys want to see a topic, reach out to me and I'll research it, write it, and anything Miami Dolphins. And anytime news comes out, I also have a Dolphins Thirsty channel on here, which I got permission from the big boss that I can stream on my network tonight. So it's streaming on 2 networks this show. We're so big now. So,
Hey, we're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah, we're getting there. So, it's all good. And thank you for giving me that chance to talk about dolphinthirsty.com.
No
I just
problem,
want to
man.
mention so just let say Michelle, welcome to the network. I haven't seen you before. Just to mention that the guy they're mainly the Brandon Shell's still out there who was very capable, but the main guy they're focused on poaching first is Cameron Fleming. That's the last guy they brought in for a workout. And just to create for John, who's one of our top subscribers, if we need to rely on the run game, White's not going to cut it. I just want to let you know, John, we all said this, and I've said this every episode of the bandwagon. No Tua, hello TB12. So don't worry. We all know that. We all know that. Welcome, Alex.
And I know John Santos, he's a big advocate for the O-line. He's concerned as well as I was concerned. But I've been doing a little self-evaluation on my perspective on the offensive line. And, I'm old school as well. I'm sure John is old school as well as Rob. And I always thought the trenches, come first, O-line, D-line. But, in this new era of football, I think I have a new outlook on the way that I see this O-line or, defensive lines and things of that nature. We've got Terron Armstead. Okay. All right. I grant you, he gets hurt, but when he's playing, he's an all-pro. And then we've got Connor Williams, who was a top 5 center last year. Okay. We got Robert Hunt, who's a solid right guard for us. Brandon Shell filled in and did an adequate job. Now, I don't know if he's coming back or not. I've been hearing, Cam Fleming and Tyler Lewan and all that. So if we get him, fine. If we don't, my concern for the O-line, like I had, a month ago or so, has changed. And I think with the quarterback that we have, as much as I hate saying this, he has a very quick release. And I think as long as Tua's our quarterback and he's back there throwing the ball with that quick release, I'm not afraid of our O-line as much. What I am afraid of course, and I know all of us are, especially you, Evan, is him holding the doggone ball too long. That's what I'm afraid of. But as far as his quick release and that O-line, I think we're going to be fine. Now, if we add those folks that I just mentioned, then yeah, okay. I think we're going to be all right either way. But what's your perspective on that, Rob? You're an old school guy.
No,
not as old as Kurt, but you're an old school guy.
I know Brett was basically talking about that, like you said,
right.
And he's the host or co-host of Huddle Up and Wait on this network. So, yeah,
I was the co-host this past Sunday again.
You were the co-host this past.
I'm producing it. Oh, can you come on? Sure.
Yeah. So Brett, he's more or less like what you just said. Agrees with you. And I agree, Tua needs to get, the whole Cincinnati, that play right there just stands out in your head. He had all day to get rid of that ball, and he was escaped away from that, and he just circled right back into it, and then boom, got slammed like a WWE there. I would drop a WWE reference for Alex Brown. He got slammed to the turf, and, boom, it kind of went downhill from there. But, yeah, you're right. I think they can work around with the offensive linemen they have, but, yes, it'd be what happens last year when Armstead did go out. The drop off was so dramatic. You can't have it be. You're not going to have an all-pro as the backup left tackle.
Right.
Unless you're living in dream world. But you can have a good guy that you're not like, oh my goodness, he's coming in. We're screwed. You have to have a guy that can be a step in and play at an NFL level, at least do a solid job.
Right. No, I agree. And just for folks' information out there, for your information, Tua was the least pressured quarterback last year. One of the least. He was like 28th or 29th.
29th.
Yeah, 29th. So, I'm
The
I'm
pass
not
blocking was not great, though. The pass blocking was.
Yeah, no, the pass blocking still wasn't. Our rates for pass blocking was very
Nice.
low. I know. That's why I said so. It's like
Yeah.
a miss that he gets rid of the ball so hard. I mean, so quick normally, other than those times that
right.
he
held on to
does
it.
I know he just said he holds on to it too long, but most of the
Yeah.
time he's very step and throw if it's on course. Where we run into problems if the guys don't get open right away, then that's where we get into a little bit of trouble.
Yeah,
So
but then
hopefully
how long do you
ingrained.
expect a line to hold folks? You know what I mean? How long do you expect
Brady,
him to hold at the line?
But Brady was one of the top in his entire career. He was one of the top. Why was he so good? He was one of the top quarterbacks in releasing the ball.
Yeah.
Even when he was in Tampa at 45 years old,
Good
he was
point.
releasing the ball in under 3 seconds. And that's Tom Brady, who's a statue.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
I mean,
you have to. Even if you have no one open, they have to just put it in his brain. Throw it away. Don't get an intentional grounding, of course. Get outside the pocket. Whatever you have to do, throw it up. Get outside, where it's not intentional grounding, and throw it away and live to play another play. These guys, he wants to make a play so bad that it's ingrained in him. That's why he's running over jet players and he's doing different things because he's just always been a playmaker and he just tries so hard. But they got to ingrain. Sometimes it's not there. There's going to be another play.
But I want to make a point. If he would have gotten rid of the ball in Alabama half a second earlier, he never would have had an injury. That's why he got hit in Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
For me, with Tua, it's not only about the release, how quickly you get through the ball, but I've been reading about this just because it's curious. And we all joked around about the jiu-jitsu stuff, but if you go look at it, and I'm teaching my kid because it's very comparable to hockey. When people get concussions in hockey, it's not when you get hit that you get the concussion. It's the way you hit. So what he needs to learn how to do is when he falls, he has to sort of clench. That's why he's working on his neck. When he clenches his neck, not to do this, right? That's what he's doing every time he falls because his neck area and his back area is weak. So what he's doing is he doesn't have the strength in his upper core to get rid of it. Most of it's lower core. So that's what he's working on in his offseason program. If he does that, when he falls, he won't get concussed if he can learn how to fall. To make his point for Alex Brown, who is the wrestler? I want it to be Jimmy Superfly Snuka. To go back to the old timers, he needs to be Jimmy Superfly Snuka, and he has to jump out of the way. We don't want Davis Mills in Florida to make Dolphins Thirsty laugh because we already have Sawgrass Mills in Florida. We don't need another mall.
Yeah.
And we went through all three QBs, but the QBs were very different because Teddy was just injury prone. Skyler was a rookie 7th rounder, and Tua just had bad luck with concussions. With Daniel's comment about being with the Bills and the Jets, honestly, that makes me smile because the Dolphins are going to be under the radar. And if we don't do well, the Jets and the Bills are there. If we do well, we'll shock the world, and that's even better. I want to be the underdog. And if Tua would have played a full year with his stats, I don't care. Let them rip us. We had the highest rated quarterback, even with all the issues we had with the 5-game losing streak and the interceptions in the last couple of games. He was still a great stats overall. Like we would have been satisfied. We never really looked at his stats overall. His overall stats for a guy who only played 10, 11, 12 games was pretty good.
13.
Very, very good.
13
I mean,
games.
he played well when,
very, very good.
When healthy, he played very well, and, we're a competitive team with him. And Daniel, I mean, you bring up the point, but that's the whole name of the episode today was about the respect.
No respect.
So that was more or less. So, yes, it's okay that people think the Bills and the Jets are ahead. And I understand because they got Aaron Rodgers. But, for Jet fans, they think they're automatically. I know we got excited in a tight week, so I'm not going to hold it. Let them have their fun just in the offseason. That's what being a fan is for. But it's just funny how everyone just anoints them. But even in a less competitive NFC, Rodgers, haven't been getting to advancing deep into the playoffs the past several years. So it's crazy.
He had the NFC last year. Miami Dolphins would be in the top 3 rated teams in the NFC if we switched conferences, because we would be San Francisco with Purdy, who they're not even sure is going to be ready, and the Eagles. We're better than the Cowboys right now with our skill set.
I don't know.
Our defense is going to be just as good, and our offense. What do they have? They have Pollard, and they have nobody else.
Can't say that. We can't say that right now.
I can't say that. I think in that I would go up against him without even blinking. With our skill set, I would go up against him in a heartbeat. We're going to fight with Wingate later. But for me, they're definitely a top 4, top 5 team. Here, they're considering us, an 8th or 9th team sometimes. Let them do that. I couldn't care less. Let them do that. By the way, I just want to make a really important point about the Jets. Oh my God, they got Aaron Rodgers. Do you understand? Go look at the players he had last year. Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson. He had Alan Lazard, and he had Randall Cobb. What's the difference with this team? He has Brees Hall. He just got Israel Abanikanda. He has Garrett Wilson. He has Elijah Moore. He has Elijah Moore. Now he has Alan Lazard and Randall Cobb. There's no difference in terms of his structure of his team. The key guys he has to get the ball to are young players. What was Aaron Rodgers' biggest problem last year? Getting along with young players. He has no patience for young players. And I bet you, they could potentially go. Yeah, people can talk about how they're going to maybe go 11-6 or 12-5. They can very likely go 7-10 again, because you want to know what? I like the fact that the expectations are high on them. Let us be under the radar. Let us have the expectations. I'm totally fine with that. I'm totally cool with that. I like that.
No, I'm fine with that too. I'm fine with being the underdog. I have no qualms with that. But Rob, I want to ask you the question. Then I'm going to ask you the same question, Evan. Why are the Dolphins disrespected? Why?
Well, 20 years of not winning a playoff game goes a long way, to it has a long way to go. Just like, you don't hear people talking up the Detroit Lions that much. I mean, now people are saying they're probably going to win that division, but that's a whole other story. But it's just, a lot of not winning, and it just seems to be that, Miami's not the popular choice in the media's eyes. It's just, that's really all I can say. It's just a lot of not winning. I don't think there's any media bias against the Dolphins. I don't think there's any, ill reason if Miami starts winning. Because if you watch some of these shows in the mornings, they do prop up the Dolphins somewhat. And there are people that are out there that likes the Dolphins. But, I do agree that we're not getting respect mainly just because of the Aaron Rodgers right now. That's why we kind of got pushed down like, oh, they're all in now. But now everyone's worried about Aaron Rodgers. But really, I don't really think it's much as disrespect as people think. Even though that's the name of our show, so I'm kind of telling people, "Why is the name of your show?" No respect.
Very simple. I could say it in one word: one.
You think that's the reason why?
Because if he would have had a full season last year, we didn't crap the bed in December, the narrative would be very.
We different. Or he?
He, the team. We as a team, we're all part of the Dolphins community.
But when we win, it's not him. It's the team.
No, I know. It's hardly,
it's Tua. But when we lose, it's Tua. It's not the team.
No. When we win, it's a team effort, including McDaniel.
Okay, I want you to get that right.
No, 100%. But I want
it's always a team, Steve. Don't try. It's always a team.
I want to know you why. Think about it. When they did their rankings, they talk about Baltimore. Why? Because Lamar Jackson's won MVP. Aaron Rodgers, the multiple MVP. Joe Burrow, the number one pick, was gone to a Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes is a Super Bowl winning best quarterback in the league. Josh Allen has been an upper echelon quarterback, but he hasn't won anything yet. But because he's big and powerful and tall, because he's just big, he looks like that's why they believe in him. Because he's taking his team. Because the thing with Josh Allen, he wins. He does it a lot for his team. While Tua wants to be part of a team. Justin Herbert, because of the fact that the same thing. Because he has that framework of a Josh Allen. It's the thing for Tua is last year he showed a lot, but because he got injured and that reaffirmed people's concern about his injury proneness, even though it was a different type of kind of injury, that gives the people the hesitation. If Tua would have played 17 games and instead of having 25-8, didn't have that bad if he didn't get that Green Bay injury, people wouldn't be knocking us. That Green Bay game where he got concussed and threw the 3 interceptions shot us down a big run. Tua that's why I like it, because Tua listens. Because last year a lot of people were hard on Tua, and he started off banging, and he had a great first 3 months of the season besides the concussions. So for me, overall, that's where I stand on that. Like for me, it's really focuses on Tua because people are so high on the Vic Fangio move. But I guarantee you, if they did a ranking of the most enjoyable coach, the best coach to hang out with, it would be McDaniel. Everyone loves Mike McDaniel for the person that he is. The team is fun. The team is great. If people would talk, if we had Aaron Rodgers on our team instead of Tua, even though Aaron Rodgers is older, the narrative about the Miami Dolphins would be 100% different. If we had a 46-year-old quarterback in Tom Brady right now, the narrative would be different.
Well, the whole
It's
reason
really,
is though Tua gets a
Tua,
lot of
Tua,
heat
Tua,
because
Tua. It's Tua.
well, let's face it, it's Miami Dolphin fans too, somewhat, because they know if they say something bad about Tua, they're going to get all kinds of clicks. They're going to get people responding, and that's what all social media is. They don't care if it's good responses, bad responses. They just want the impression from the social media, like, oh, look how many responses I got. So he's just a polarizing figure for whatever reason. So I think a lot of it, if Dolphin fans didn't respond every time someone said a bad thing about Tua, the talk would stop. But people can't help themselves and go, I just ignore it. I just like, all right, he's trying to get my attention. I'm not going to give it to him when you have these hot takes because they know that Tua is going to be I'm going to get all kinds of replies. And I mean, that's a lot of it. So the Tua-naires and the Tua-non are their own worst enemy at sometimes. Just be a Dolphin fan, ignore the hate and just move on and not worry about what other teams are saying. I mean, media's saying about, it doesn't matter in the end of the day. What it matters at the end of the day, if you go out there and you win. And that's all we want. We want the Dolphins to win. And, and I like Tua, don't get me wrong, but we know that people love to get hits on social media. And the quickest way to get hits in the Dolphins land is to rip Tua. They're going to get a response every time.
Well, I like both of your responses. I think it's a little bit of both as far as why the Dolphins don't get respect. Number one, it's because we haven't won a playoff game in, as you said it, Rob, over 20 years. So we don't deserve respect until we win a playoff game and we win a division and we go to the Super Bowl or we go to the AFC Championship or whatever. So that's one reason. Two is Tua. I agree with you, Evan. Tua doesn't get the respect and to a degree, rightly so. And now listen to what I'm saying. He hasn't won any game. He didn't win the games in December. Okay. He lost 4 straight games. Okay.
Now you're saying
hold on.
Okay.
I just said the Dolphins, the team. Now I'm going to the quarterback because the quarterback is the most important player on the team. Am I wrong? So here's what I'm telling you. Tua and the team, if that's what you want to hear, they lost in December 4 straight games, and he was hurt. Okay, that's another reason why. Okay, if he would have gotten hurt last year, okay, even if he gets hurt this year, and he plays like he played last year, okay, all he had to do and all he has to do this year is win 11 or 12 games, and then he can get hurt. If he would have won two of the 4 games last year, right? 2 of the 4 games last year. If he would have won 2 of the 4 games last year that we lost, and he lost along with the team, we would have had an 11-6 record, and that's what I projected us to have last year was 11-6. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I blame the Dolphins for that because the Buffalo game you can't put on him because he did everything he was supposed to do. And if I see one more slant pass along the line from McDaniel, I'll lose my mind because every time he does that, I go, "Holy crap, we're about to lose 4 yards." But that game you can't put on Tua. Tua did not make one error in that game, that snow game. It was the best game he's played, and we all thought he couldn't play in the snow or the cold after that Tennessee disaster with Florida.
Yeah.
The Green Bay game. That falls on the medical staff. I blame the spotter because if he was starting to throw those interceptions, did not look right. Those were not a guy who was 100%. And before that, in the first half, they were dominating that game. Till he threw that first interception, they were dominating that game, and we could not adjust. So let's just be clear about the fact that this team lacked adjustments ability in order to be successful. And this year, I think McDaniel, like you have said, will learn his lesson. And I just want to jump up because I don't like one of the comments that was made about the Chubb trade being a complete disaster because no new player is going to be able to adapt to Josh Boyer's nonsense of defense. The guy is now going into a defense with a Vic frickin' Fangio who drafted the kid. This is a guy who knows how to use Bradley Chubb. Bradley Chubb is going to be an all-pro this year. Mark my words.
I hope so. I'm marking him. I hope so.
I hope so. I know Rob wasn't a big fan of the trade between Chubb and
No, I wasn't.
This year.
Just because I knew the money bag you had to give him other than that. And I knew that we had other people commitments coming up. But, hey, if he performs, I don't care. You know me, I root for anyone that's in the aqua and orange. I'm happy he's on the team now because he's a member of the Dolphins.
Me too, yeah.
I know. I would love to see him do double-digit sack production this year, but I don't know. He's
Man,
not
I don't
really a
know.
double-digit guy. It doesn't seem, but as
Phillips
long as he
is-
puts
Phillips
enough
is.
pressure, but with the money you're paying him, he should be a double, sack guy.
I agree
Pressure-
100%. And you know what? Since we're talking on a defense, what do you think about Wilkins? Is he going to get paid this year? Because we got to pay Zyler or how do you say it, Evan? You know,
Sealer.
Sealer.
Yeah,
How do you
They're both gonna get signed.
you think they're both going to get paid?
They're
this
both
year?
going to get signed. They're both going to get signed at the exact same time.
Okay. All
I have
right.
a feeling they might do a combo because those two go together. They're like a duo.
Steelers out. He's great. He's like under the radar a lot of times, but Dolphin fans know him. But
I could see getting. I don't see them moving on Wilkins because someone made. I think there was a comment. You can go back and look. I can't remember the guy's name. I read an article. Do you know they have not re-signed one of their D linemen since I think the early 2000s.
Evan, hold that thought. Yeah. Everybody, thanks for joining tonight. Appreciate you. I see your comments. I'm trying to read your comments. I'm not real good at it, but Evan is doing a great job. I appreciate you, Evan, for doing that. But we see you there, and we appreciate you. We couldn't do this show without you. We love you guys, so I'm not trying to ignore you. But Evan is doing a great job, and Rob as well. I'm bad at that. I'm sorry. I just am. I have to admit it. But please like, subscribe, share with your friends, your families, your neighbors, guys, and just enjoy the show. Go ahead, Evan. I'm sorry.
So I want to make the point that we haven't re-signed a draft pick of a defensive lineman like in the last 15 years. Like we've never kept our own on the D line. We think they're interchangeable. Wilkins was the first pick of this so-called rebuild 5-year plan. So I do believe they're going to re-sign him. I do believe he wants to be in Miami. I think he realizes what we have here. So I think we will get him up. I don't think he's getting 20. I think he'll get more around 15, 16. He will not get more than Chubb.
Ooh, I don't know.
I don't think he's not getting more than Bradley Chubb. I can promise you
No.
that. He ain't getting more than Bradley Chubb. He's not getting more than Jalen Ramsey. He's not getting more than Xavier Howard. I promise you that. He is not getting that for a run.
You think he's going to settle for a discount? Because
I think
he should be getting 20,000 based on.
He's not getting 20 million. I
mean 20 million.
I was going to say 20,000.
Yeah, that's a bargain.
By the way, I don't think he has a lot of antics. He's a good leader in the locker room. I don't think.
I agree.
20. Yeah. I think he'll be traded if he wants 20. If he wants to come at 15, 16 million, I think he'll get it. And Sealer, because you can find a Zach Sealer, even though I think Zach Sealer is great for this team. But you know, one of those players, and Rob knows this in baseball, right? You might be great with one team. Look at Albert Pujols. Albert Pujols is a phenomenal baseball player in St. Louis. He goes to Anaheim, and he becomes a shell of himself. Then at 42 years old, he comes back to St. Louis and starts hitting home runs again. Some players fit in a mold, and Zach Sealer found his niche here, so I don't think he's going absolutely anywhere.
Well, here's my question. Here's my question, because you're making a good point. He found his he's
not moving.
Well, anyway, he found his niche here, or whatever. Yeah. But he's not going to be playing the same type of scheme that he played with the last 3 or 4 years.
Doesn't matter.
You think he's going to fit in that Fangio scheme?
Yeah, because he's part of the core, right? He's part of that line. On that line, the one guy I'm worried about, like I've talked about with that, and I think that's why Brandon Peely, who's one of our undrafted free agents, will definitely be his backup. I'm worried about Raekwon. Raekwon needs to show something to me this year.
Oh, I agree with you on that.
Guy on the O-line. As a nose tackle,
I agree.
He has a lot of skill. For a guy we drafted in the 3rd round, the guy has to show something to me this year. He's the #1 defender that I'm worried about this year.
And here's my thing with him.
Wilkins is going to resign. I have zero qualms about that.
Okay. All right.
I
hope you're right. I hope you're right.
It's Chris Greer's first pick. It's Chris Greer's first pick of that era.
Yeah. Well, going back to Raekwon Davis, I don't think he fits the position that he was put in the last couple of years. He's 6'7", 330 pounds. He's a monster of a man, but for a nose tackle, I think he's too tall. I think the guy that the undrafted free agent we got, Brandon Peely. Yeah. I think he's going to give him a run for his money, to be honest with you.
Yep.
I really do. And he fits the mold. I mean, he's 6'2", 6'3", 330, 340, something like that. So I think he was like, I don't know if you all remember, what was his name? The big guy we used to have in the middle, Paul, you remember, Rob? Solari.
Paul Solai.
Solai.
Oh,
Yeah, remember him?
Solai, yeah, Paul
Yeah,
Solai.
man. That's who he reminds me of.
Yeah.
You know, that type of build, that kind of play. So we'll see. He's undrafted. You know, we don't know. But we did get some good undrafted free agents. I think Peely was one. Audrey Miller was another one. Vander something?
Yeah, I know what you're talking
the
about.
linebacker and
Ezekiel Vender, whatever his last
that
name
guy.
is.
I think
I don't
he's
have
got
my
it.
list in front of me.
That's fine.
But
And I wasn't
we
expecting
signed so many. When you don't have that many draft picks, you
Yeah.
have lots of room for undrafted free agents.
Yeah, and they have a lot, and that means there's lots of opportunity. There's lots of opportunity for them. And the guy that I like too, and I know you mentioned this too, Rob, is Turk.
That's right.
The punter.
Yeah, I know. But I know after reading the Barry Jackson article,
yeah,
Jake
I read
Belly,
that.
Yeah, I know Jake Belly though has like if they like him, but they say he's going to have to absolutely have to win out because Jake Bailey's doing 900 something. That's a lot to give it to a punter position that's not going to be on the team.
Jake Bailey's been capable, right? He was a good kicker before he had that weird injury last year that was no one understands what happened.
Right.
But the one thing I read about talking about kickers, just a side note, that's the one area, and I think they're so comfortable with Jason Sanders, but that's the one area I'm kind of frustrated with because even though after I said Jason Sanders, you're not going to miss one more field goal because no one was harder than him than me. Rob pointed it out every single show how hard I was on Jason Sanders.
Yeah, you were pretty bad.
Daniel were my two whipping boys all year.
Yeah,
Jason Sanders needs competition. He cannot feel comfortable.
I agree.
In his job.
Yeah.
And the fact that they better go get someone at OT. If they leave him alone on an island, he's going to struggle again next year because he needs that kick in the ass. He needs that, and the fact that they're just leaving him there because he's under contract, I don't like that. People need competition in order to thrive. Like even Skylar Thompson, they went to go get Blackman from Arkansas State to give Skylar Thompson the run for his money.
I don't see much in Blackman.
I don't see much either.
Mike White's going to be the competition for Skylar Thompson.
But Mike White's going to start. Mike White's going to be the backup. My point is that competition breeds something. Look at the wide receiver core. You have Hill and Waddle, but Wilson, even at $7 million, you still have Craycraft, you still have Izukama, you still have Chosen Anderson. You still keep on filling up that room because competition breeds the best out of players.
No, I agree. And you mentioned the wide receiver room. Chosen Anderson, man, don't sleep on him. He's had a very productive. Career, and if one of those guys goes down, God forbid, Waddle or Tyreek Hill, I think that Chosen Anderson can fill that void for either one of those speedsters because
a lot of it's going to be depending.
He's a fast guy
too. Wilson, a lot of it's going to be.
If he didn't do nothing last year, he's not going to do nothing.
But if you can't trade Cedric, who's he going to? You almost have to keep him on the roster. He's guaranteed $7 million, and it's if you don't trade him.
Dude, I don't know where any of these guys are going to fall in the roster. We got 10 wide receivers.
And Cedric Wilson had a good season. We just didn't put him up last year, but before that, he had a decent season. So he's still a good football player.
Yeah, but he's not worth the money.
Contract-wise, it's hard to get rid of Sanders. From what I'm reading from his salary, he has guaranteed for a kicker, and then you have to give him a lot of the cap hit, and then a new kicker on top of that if he would get beat out. So it's just like crazy. So, but yeah, for competition in camp, but he'll probably already have to know, oh, this guy's not going to beat me out. They got to pay me no matter what.
Yeah.
So it's just, but with Cedric Wilson, a lot of it's going to come down to contract. Now, if some team would give us like a 7th round pick in the 2030 draft, we'd probably take it and get the draft pick off.
You need an injury, right? You need a team to get an injury to one of the top 1 or 2 receivers, top 3 receivers during training camp. I hate to say that, but training camp, and then you're going to find a taker.
Yeah.
Then you're going to find a taker.
Yeah, that's what you're going to have to do. Get someone that would be really.
And by the way, Cedric Wilson is a very capable quarterback. If you go watch his tape in Dallas that year,
quarterback,
he was very good. Sorry, guys.
Wide receiver. Hey, we got Evan. We finally got Evan on a flub. He
was a very good wide receiver. So
he
was capable as a 3. So he's a capable quarterback. The problem is that what concerns me is the fact that maybe this was not a Mike McDaniel pick. Again, like this was a trade that was not a Mike McDaniel. This was a Chris Greer saying, "I'm need to replace Devontae Parker."
This was before Tyreek Hill, right?
Yeah.
He was supposed to be the starter.
No, this was the Devontae Parker replacement.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we want to do something. That's what it was, right? So he's not a bad person, but at least the one for me that's the greatest is, I always get up when the punts happen and when the kick and the returns happen. You know how nice it's going to be able to watch the excitement of actually having a chain or even Mostert who's capable, because now you have multiple running backs. For sure, Berrios, like returning punts and kicks.
I like
that.
Berrios.
We're not going to see Javon Holland and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle waiting for the balls. Like, how do you have your strong safety, your future all pro strong safety, catching punts? Unbelievable.
Well, they did it back in the day. They had Jake Scott back there receiving punts, and he was a very good punt returner, and he was an all-pro safety as well.
But
I get your point. I get your point. Yeah,
you don't want to risk injury anymore than you have to.
I get your point. Yeah, I get your point. I get your point. It was funny because Jake Scott was back there catching punts with a broken arm and a cast. But anyway, I digress.
You got off. Well, I want to talk about what you guys, I call it hogwash, but the strength of schedule. I think you can't really talk
too much what I want to get to. Good point, Rob.
It's based on last year, and teams change every year. The teams that were great last year may have a drop back. The teams that weren't so great last year can improve. So you can't sit there. Where I worry about strength of schedule, give me 10 games into the schedule, and you're going against teams, and the remaining strength of schedule for the teams we're competing for against a playoff spot. Then strength of schedule, because it's relevant to this year. Because it's way too early. I know we're all going to get into it, and we're going to say, how many primetime games? We got the toughest schedule. But if you want to be a good team, you got to beat the good teams. You're going to have to beat the good teams in the playoff. So we're going to be road tested. If we go and we get to the playoffs, we're already going to be tested that we would have played the best of the best, and we're going to be ready for the test. So it's just, I'm not that big into worrying about the strength of schedule, because if we're worried about strength of schedule, do you think Kansas City fans are sitting there worried about strength of schedule?
Come on, man. You're talking Kansas City, brother.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. All these fans in New England were running through
I was
the division.
Kansas City, I wouldn't be worried either.
I know. And all those years, the one thing bad about the Dolphins' luck is they're building a good team, but the Jets have a good team and the Bills have a good team. All those years that the Patriots ran through our division, the Dolphins stunk, the Jets stunk, and the Bills, they were almost guaranteed a spot like 3 weeks into the season because, we were all just be so stinky that they would be division champs every year. So other than the Wildcat year and a couple little miracles like that, but it's just, it's tough in this year's AFC. I mean, there's so many good teams that you could say, and I wouldn't say you're crazy for saying, this team's going to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl, and I wouldn't think you're crazy. So, it's it's going to be a tough road, but if we have a tough schedule, that's how it is. Based on last year's strength of schedule, they say it's the number 2 hard, but I'm not worried about it. To me, it's not a big deal.
No, I agree. I agree and I'll let you go on after I make this point here, Evan. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I think it's fine.
Okay. I think you're right, Rob. I don't worry about the strength of schedule to a degree. I have to look at it. I have to, project. I have to, analyze it. But you're right. I'm not worried about the schedule until about the 8th or 9th game. Then we can get more of a feel where everybody's at and how it's starting to play out. So I agree with you 100% on that. But we do still have a tough schedule. If you look at it on paper, it's a tough schedule based on last year. But I agree with you. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Evan.
I agree with the strength of schedule, but for me, at least we only have one game out west, which is unlike we have the Chargers rematch, which I think we're going to learn from that.
You think we're going to have them out west? You think we're going to play them?
We faced the Chargers out west as one of our away games.
How do you know that? How do you know that?
That's been announced.
We don't know when we're playing. We know what teams are playing away. We know what teams are playing at home. We just don't know when the schedule is.
Okay,
we just don't know the win.
I got you. You're right.
But one thing about the Chargers, because last year we had Staley. What's Staley's defense? Vic Fangio's. My point with Vic Fangio is that last year our concern was offense. What was McDaniel going to be able to do? And the defense without Flores, with Josh Boyer being an ass. This year, you have a top 5 offense, no matter what, with this skill set. And our offense actually got better. It did not get worse. We didn't lose players. We gained players. And on defense, you now have Vic Fangio, who's added players, a new scheme he's going to come up with on top of what he already does, which is successful. We're not going to have these 3rd and 17 nonsensical plays, because I'm sure all of us we remember all this. 1st and 10, 2nd and 9, 3rd and 15, first down. That's what the Miami Dolphins. It was never 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 3. It was always 3rd and 12, 3rd and 14, first down. Like we were awful that way. We could not get off the field. The sense of that defense makes me so calm because when you go into face Kansas City, do you understand why I understand the Cam Smith pick now? Because the moment you see a tight end like a Mark Andrews or a Travis Kelce, you know who's going to be up there? But you're gonna have Brandon Jones and you're gonna have Jalen Ramsey driving those tight ends nuts because you're going to be able to put Cam Smith, who's a better outside cornerback, along with Kohu to back him up, and Ramsey's going to go in the middle and sneak, and the guy is going to drive Travis Kelce nuts. That is the skill set of Jalen Ramsey. He's a Swiss Army knife. Unlike your frustration, which you pointed out with David Howard last year, where he can't handle the slants. That's why they have Nick Needham back. That's why Kohu's going to be spending the offseason focusing on more of the slant plays. So Xavier Howard and Cam Smith can be the main guys going back with Trill Williams and Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey can move in the middle. The same way Brandon Jones can come up and play linebacker a little bit. The scheme of the defense with the players that they have, they're Swiss Army knife players. Leave the key players where they are. But now that's why Jalen Ramsey makes our defense so phenomenal, is that he can go play multiple positions on the defense when the star player is a tight end or a player that is not just playing down the field. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, and you made a point about Cam Smith. Cam Smith is that type of player too. He can play multiple positions. So now I don't know how many reps he's going to get. I'm sure he's going to get some reps this year. In fact, I think he's for the future. I think he's going to be Xavier Howard's replacement. That's my thoughts. You know, I could be wrong, but that's what I feel. But I thought he was. Honestly, I thought Cam Smith was. You know, I didn't know much about him until I did. Like most of us, we were shocked. You know, I was kind of upset about it, but the more I read about his play and his versatility and all that, I said it seems like he'd probably be a good fit in this Vic Fangio defense. So we'll see. You know, we were 24th last year. I think our defense was 24th. And
Top 10 this year without even.
Well, you know, I hope so. I hope you're right, Evan. I think we'll be at least in the top 15. That's my projection.
Sure. That's his success rate. He's never had a bad defense.
Yeah. But the thing about it is, and I did a little research on this, Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers eat up this defense alive. The Vic Fangio defense.
He's never had these kind of players. He's never had Jalen Ramsey and Xavier.
I know. I'm just making the point.
Holland.
I got you. I'm just making the point. Rob, you had something to say. Go ahead.
No, that's it. That's it. I mean, you're good. I was agreeing with you guys.
Okay.
You know, it's a tough, like you say. I was just agreeing with Evan. I think we're going to be a much better defense. Where we're going to rank,
I agree. We will be a better defense. How much better is the question? You're right.
And some people may be surprised that we're a little more bend but don't break. You're not going to be just
Yeah,
so
that's
that
true.
So that might be surprise some people in the beginning, and then they get used to it.
Go ahead. I want to bring an interesting point for both of you to get your perspective on this.
Sure.
The problem with the number one thing they need to adjust for this overall structure of this team, and we made this comment. Remember, I made the comment on one of my post-game shows that at one point after 9 games, the defense had been on the field for a full game more than the offense. McDaniel has to learn how to slow the game down a little bit. He tries to get the big play, and the defense plays way too much time on the field.
It did change towards the end of last season, so maybe he learned.
So that's what they need to figure out, Fangio and him. They have to have a balanced attack where Fangio's team, the defense has to spend less time on the field, and the offense has to spend more time on the field. You have to be able to get off the field on 3rd down, and you have to be able to sustain drives. Stop doing – it happened in the San Francisco game. We were all losing our mind on the first play, touchdown, but then after that, the plays were just so quick. You have to slow the game down. McDaniel has to stop being so hyper about scoring points. You could still score 35 points, but score that over the course of a game, not over the course of a quarter, because what ends up happening is if you leave your defense on the field and they get gassed, that's what ends up happening. That's what we need to work on, is sort of having that more balanced attack. I don't know about you guys, but that's what I realized when looking over last season and watching tape again, how quickly we scored. But then the defense was left out to drive for extended drives. That's why I don't mind the defense of Fangio's, because if he can find a way to get us off the field on 3rd down better than we did last year, all the better.
No, I agree, Evan. That's very good points you made, and you're right about they need to slow down the game. And Daniel made a great comment here. He says, "Guys, last year's vertical passing game will be replaced by shorter passes." And I agree, Daniel. We need to do that to slow down the game. Shorter dink and dunk passes. Tua was a master of this the year
He's
before
the best
last.
at that. He's
He
the
was the
best at
best.
that.
I don't know what happened this year, but anyway.
Well, I can tell you what happened. Tyreek killed
Yeah,
Waddle.
yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right, Rob.
just the 10 tapes and to
Exactly.
throw to those guys deep. It's just too hard to resist,
Yeah.
So that's what happened. But now they're gonna have to become a little more level-headed and say, okay, we're gonna take our shots a couple times a game downfield to keep stretch the defense, because you can't just be dink and dunk only, because then it's gonna close down and knock the hell out of you.
I don't mean the whole game dink and
Right,
dunk.
but yeah, so they got to keep that. That's a good thing, though. We have threats, but then we also got guys that can kill them in the middle of the field. But they're going to always have to worry, like, oh, we can't play two up because these guys are going to blow right past us if we get too greedy, moving and stacking everyone up.
Yeah.
So.
No, I agree, and that was a good point by you, Evan, and Daniel as well. But yeah. They just got to slow the game down. That's the bottom line, and I'm hoping that that McDaniel will have learned his lessons, which I think he has. He's a smart guy, and he's going to run. excuse me, run the ball a little more. We were 60-40. We threw the ball 60 times and ran the ball 40 times. So it's not really a bad mix. I mean, that's even Kansas City did the same thing. A lot of teams, NFL teams nowadays, are 60-40. Or some a little less, but if he can slow that down and he can adjust that down to like 55% pass and 45 run, I think that would be great for whoever is in there at quarterback. It's going to help a backup if God forbid he has to come in there and
Anthony,
or when Tua's in there, it's going to help any of the quarterbacks. So that's my opinion.
Yeah. And just recall, Mr. Downfield who could throw it 70 yards, Justin Herbert. Go rewatch the game when we played them. He was dinking and dunking to Austin Eckler, Mike Williams, and Keenan Allen.
And nothing wrong with that.
Game.
Nothing wrong with that.
Entire game. That's how they beat us.
Nothing wrong with that.
There's zero wrong with that. Because you know what you do? But you make the defense honest, especially with our scheme. The one thing that made our offense successful is the motion. The amount of motion in between plays. I don't know if you remember the year before that with Flores when Studsville and Gotze tried to do that. The ball used to hit Gesicki in the ass as he ran by. So, like, for me, utilize that, but confuse the defense. You also utilize the skill set of your quarterback. Tua had the best downfield percentage last year. Great, phenomenal. But also use his best skill set, which is accuracy. Accuracy comes from the fact that you also want to have yak. We didn't have such great yak stats last year because we were so focused on getting the ball downfield. And personally, use Waddle. Waddle was successful when he was a rookie across the field.
Yeah.
Use the cross field for them, confuse the heck, and then you shoot Chosen Anderson, who's a great deep ball threat, go down there. Yeah. And if those two aren't open, whip the ball to Anderson. They're going to leave him wide open. Because if you put those three receivers at the same time, Chosen Anderson, when he makes the team, is going to have a phenomenal year. I make a prediction here. If Chosen Anderson makes the team, we can very likely have the first team. I don't know if it's ever happened before. 3,000-yard receivers.
Dude, he'll make the team. He's a proven veteran. Look at his stats. Go look at his production over the years. He's a good productive wide receiver, and he's fast, like you say. Can you imagine Waddle, Tyreek Hill, Chosen Anderson, A-Chain in the backfield, and Mostert? And Barrios. Can you imagine that? Or Elijah Higgins, who runs a 4.4. Yeah. That's speed, man.
Oh no, the Dolphins have speed to burn for sure. That's
I can't wait to go to training camp. I can promise you that. I'm going back. So
I'm going to try to make a training camp this year. I'm going to try to.
I'll be there. Just so you know, all of you. Want to hang out with me? I'll be in Florida from around June 30th to about July 18th. I'll be there for 2.5-3 weeks. You can come hang out. I'm around.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, I'm here all the time.
I'm taking Thirsty out for dinner. I'm going to find.
All right, there you go.
Well, I'll take you out too, though. Wait. Let's see. Honestly, for me, in order for the Dolphins to be successful this year, Tua has to be elite game manager. He can't become.
He could be that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, no, I agree. But anyway, no,
Well,
that sounds
Pete,
like a plan, man. I can't wait till you get this SoFlo down here. So it'd be awesome.
I'll be there. No, we're gonna have Dolphin. We're gonna have the Bloomin' Onion at the Flanagan's. Buddy.
Flanagan Speakeasy. Yeah.
I love Flanagan. I love Flanagan. Big Daddy. I love Big Daddy.
Yeah, I remember them. Yeah, I used to go to them a lot. Flanagan Speakeasy. Yes, sir.
No, but also Flanagan's is great for a bar.
Yeah.
To go to a game, watch sports, hang out. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. I don't drink anymore, but anyway.
No, but even my kids literally they always have to get the goddamn cups. I have like at my condo in Florida, I have like 50 cups.
Oh yeah, I used to collect those too.
Big Daddy cups, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Those Big Daddy cups, yeah.
Are they still big and green, or are they something else?
Still big and green.
Still the same, huh?
Yeah.
I have the Flanagan's right next to me. I mean, literally minutes they've opened up one. So.
It's worth it just to collect the cups, Rob.
Hey, but it's. Anthony, I don't know if we're dropping links tonight, Anthony, but you're always welcome at other times, Anthony.
How you doing, Anthony?
Stop with the arm. I don't want to hear ever again about Tua having an arm.
Because his arm is not really meant for him. Constantly trying to be.
Oh yeah, you're right, Anthony. Fine. Okay. They do have the onion thing. I'm sorry, Blue Onion is Outback.
Yeah, Blue Onion is trademarked by.
Yeah, Blue Onion is Outback.
So what? I screwed it up. Big deal. I've joined the world of making. I did this on purpose so Lloyd and Thirsty and Bobby can replay this and make fun of me.
That's okay. We understand. Okay. You're from Canada. We understand. Don't worry.
Yeah.
See.
Yeah. It's all good, man. It's all.
So anybody else have anything else you want to say before we close down shop? Anything else on your mind, Evan, Rob?
I predict. I just hope that post June 1st, we're going to continue to have shows over the next couple of weeks. But I just hope they continue to build this team because all I want is depth on the O-line and a stout running back. Then I'm good. I just want that running back. I just want no more excuses for McDaniel. I just don't want excuses for him.
Gotcha. Rob, any last thoughts?
Anthony says, "Don't give me the bit. We don't mess up our chain restaurants, man. That's part of our culture."
I love Flanagan though. They have awesome ribs. They have good prime rib. They have very good stuff there.
Yeah, it's all
Any
good.
closing thoughts, Rob?
Garlic rolls. Oh, they're amazing.
Yeah, hey, check out DolphinsThirsty.com.
God dang it, man! You guys are making me hungry.
Check out Dolphins Thirsty on YouTube and DolphinsThirsty.com. Right after this, I'm going to have a quick little video posted on DolphinsThirsty.com. And it's all good and fun. And, haven't done a Tribute Tuesday today because I had a very busy day. I'll try to get one in. So, I got to get it.
That's what I was missing today. I did really well the last couple of weeks.
Did you?
Yeah. So, hey.
Yeah, one of his. The last two I did, I got perfect.
Man.
I was very
terrible.
good.
I'm terrible.
I don't Google.
Yeah.
I don't Google.
Terrible. No, I don't Google either. That's why I'm terrible.
I give the correct answers upon no matter what because they give you that option. Yeah, give them the correct answer so they learn a little bit as we go. So
yeah, that's a good thought. That's a good thought, Rob. We appreciate that.
It's all fun though. But yeah, check me out over there. It's fun. I do this all for fun. There's not going to be ads that bog down the website like so many fan sites you go to. It's like 10,000 ads pop up. So it's annoying. You just come here. It's all Dolphin. It's all fun. Just trying to get some traffic, guys. Help me out. It'd be great. Appreciate it, man. You guys all rock. That's why Dolphin fans are the best.
Good thing.
Like Evan said, that's why there's a million people make fun of us. Oh, there's too many Dolphin talkers. I don't care because I do ES therapy. I come in here. I do it. I don't care if there's 10,000 other people talking about the Dolphins. I just like doing it too, so I don't worry about that.
Hey guys, and I'm going to piggyback on that. You were talking about mental health and all that kind of stuff, and I know a lot of folks sometimes see me get fired up on here and all that, and I know you reel me in a lot, Rob. I appreciate that, but trust me, guys, I'm not crazy. I'm good. When I get fired up like that, it's good for my mental health. Believe me. I'm normally a cool, calm, and collective guy.
When they had old school commercials, you're like, "Come on to Steve's used car lot." You would have been like, great, The deals are going fast. You would have been great at that. You missed your calling, man. I did find out you were a truck driver today in your past. That impressed me. Whenever I watch Smokey and the Bandit, I always think the truckers are almost as cool as the cars. So I'm a nerd that way. I just thought it was so cool.
Yeah, I was a truck driver in my past life. But anyway.
Man, that's all. It's cool, man.
It was fun.
And you would
It was
probably
fun.
truck drivers' days in the days when kids used to do the.
Oh
you
yeah.
know, and,
Oh yeah.
Now
That's
they make
like-
you honk your horns.
Yep. There you go.
Those days have died. But man, when you watch Smokey and the Bandit, every truck driver is probably, oh my God, this kid's seen Smokey and the Bandit. You got every kid to be like, So it was fun. I made so many trucks honk their horn back in the 70s.
Yep. So did I. So did I. Well, guys, I hate to say it, but it's about time to close shop. And Evan, again, I appreciate you for joining us
Always
tonight.
happy to do this.
I really appreciate you. Rob,
Light up
again.
Bogo for not showing up. Tell him,
Yeah, but
Yeah,
football.
definitely.
I've been looking at my phone. I have no idea where he went.
That's all
okay.
right.
He has family stuff, and that's great.
That comes first, man.
I'm
That
just
comes
teasing
first.
him.
You're my family. You're my family.
I just don't get to talk to Vogel too much. I was looking forward to it, but next week maybe
We'll get
another
it next
episode.
Yeah, tell him we missed him. We missed him. We definitely missed him. Yeah. So anyway, guys, thanks again for the show.
Thumbs up,
everybody
guys.
Everybody that joined us tonight, thank you very much for watching the show. Us crazy guys up here. Appreciate it. We couldn't do it without you. Just remember to like and subscribe before we sign off. So we appreciate it, man. And remember, Dolphins number one, baby. Dolphins number one.